Ever since we're introduced to the character of Jigen, the question on everyone's mind has been, where was he? As in, where was Jigen when every single event took place on this planet? Why didn't he attack Kaguya? Why didn't he choose Hagoromo as his vessel? These questions have never been answered, and the truth is that they probably never will be. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't come to a logical conclusion based on the evidence provided throughout the series, which is exactly what I'm going to do in today's video. You see, there's only one way this all makes perfect sense, and that is if Jigen feared Kaguya. To truly understand why this is the only logical conclusion, we first need to understand the history of Kaguya and her relationship with Jigen. This all began when Kaguya came to the planet over 1,000 years ago alongside Ishiki Otsutsuki. Their goal was to plant the divine tree, allow it to absorb the chakra on the planet, and then harvest its chakra fruit. But for some unknown reason, Kaguya turned against Ishiki and attacked him while he was off guard. She did enough damage to him that he was left on the verge of death, but he then managed to survive by taking over the body of a nearby monk called Jigen. He did this by shrinking himself to a very small size using his ability called Sukuna Ikona. He then flew into Jigen's head and connected his lower body to his brain, which allowed him to feed off Jigen's nutrients. He did this because he was too weak to implant karma on Jigen, nor did he have enough chakra to perform the technique. It's even confirmed by Amado himself that even to this day, Ishiki still lives within Jigen's head, feeding off his nutrients like a parasite. Only now he has full control over Jigen's body. It is also confirmed that Ishiki was able to implant karma on Jigen after regaining the strength needed to do so sometime down the line. Now, this is all fine. I have no issues here whatsoever. Where I start to have a problem is when we get into the timeline of events and Ishiki's motives for staying this course. For one, it was revealed to us that the events with Kaguya happened over 1,000 years ago, which means that Ishiki has been inside the head of Jigen in this shrunken state for over 1,000 years. We know he hasn't left Jigen's body since he needs it to survive after what Kaguya did to him. What this also means is that Ishiki has had the shrinking ability active on his own body for over 1,000 years non-stop, which is absolutely ridiculous. We know this shouldn't be possible since Kawaki was drained of his stamina and chakra after having Sukuna Ikona active on his body for the better part of a single day. Now, you could explain this away by saying that Jigen just topped up on Ten Tails chakra like we saw him do in Boruto, which would make perfect sense. The funny thing about the existence of the Ten Tails though is that it adds to the point of him being afraid of Kaguya. You see, we also know that selecting someone to bear karma is actually a delicate process, since not everyone is compatible or possesses the body that can handle the true power of the Otsutsuki. This was the case for Jigen himself, as he stated that Ishiki's chakra was too massive for his body to handle, so Jigen started to deteriorate over time. This led to Ishiki choosing not to resurrect within Jigen's body since he would probably die within a few days, even though Jigen was 100% Otsutsukified. What this confirms is that Ishiki not resurrecting within Jigen wasn't an issue of the karma seal taking too long to extract. Ishiki himself elected not to resurrect within Jigen. This means that you can't use this to say that he didn't attack Kaguya because his karma seal didn't finish extracting until 1,000 years later, which wouldn't even work even without this clarification. We already have the proof of how quickly the karma seal extracts its data, with Boruto taking under a year to get to 82%. Now, Kawaki did take multiple years to get to this point, but it was revealed by Amado that he created pills that allows you to slow down the karma's extraction rate. This means that he likely used them on Kawaki to delay the process and prevent Ishiki's resurrection, which was his entire plan. Now, another reason why Ishiki had to have placed the karma seal on Jigen soon after invading his body is due to the fact that he would have needed karma to absorb the chakra from the Ten Tails to sustain his continuous use of Sukuna Ikona on his own body. So either Ishiki had unlimited chakra to sustain using his ability continuously for 1,000 years, despite not having enough chakra to place the karma seal initially, or he later regained enough strength to place the karma on Jigen, then used its ability to absorb the Ten Tails power. I think the latter makes more sense. Now, since we know that Ishiki had to have placed the karma seal on Jigen soon after his battle with Kaguya, and we also know that the karma seal takes at least a year to fully extract, it then brings us back to the question of why didn't Jigen attack Kaguya? We have to remember that they both came to plant a Ten Tails, which would have later become a divine tree and bore a chakra fruit. We also know that the fruit Kaguya consumed was taken from the god tree that was already planted on the planet, not the one they were supposed to plant. This was confirmed when a side character stated that the tree had been there for over several millennia. Along with the fact that Kaguya didn't need to feed a living Otsutsuki to the tree, which is a requirement for producing using a chakra fruit. So since Ishiki was stronger than Kaguya and needed to be attacked while he was off guard, why didn't he take his revenge by defeating Kaguya and feeding her to his 10 tails that was never planted? Why didn't Ishiki, who was shown to be stronger than full power Naruto and Sasuke, just fold Kaguya and achieve his goals? Mind you, the fandom claimed that Naruto and Sasuke far surpassed Kaguya individually, so surely Jigen, if he's stronger than Naruto and Sasuke, he should be far stronger than Kaguya. Well, that apparently isn't the case, since if Jigen was far superior to Kaguya, why would he hide from her for years? We have to remember that after Kaguya consumed the fruit she stole from Ishiki and placed the planet under infinite Tsukunomi, she later had two sons named Hagoromo and Hamura. She was later sealed by these two sons, but that was at least 20 years after the battle with Ishiki. This makes sense since her sons were adults at the time she was sealed away. Not to mention the possibility that Otsutsuki's aged very slowly since Hagoromo lived for a very long time, which means there is a possibility that it was more than 20 years that passed since the battle with Ishiki. So what exactly was Jigen doing all this time? He knew exactly where Kaguya was since she was a popular entity on the planet. She lived next to the divine tree itself. So there's no way he just didn't know where Kaguya was. The obvious answer is that he just didn't feel he could beat Kaguya despite having a 10 tails at his disposal. Now there are some arguments out there saying that he was just scared of her hacks abilities such as Ash Bones or the ability to switch to another dimension, but the issue here is that none of that would be relevant if Jigen is far faster and stronger than Kaguya. He should simply be able to dodge all of her attacks with pure speed or shrink to avoid them. Kaguya doesn't have a hacks ability that makes Jigen's strength and speed irrelevant, so her hacks ability cannot be the reason why he didn't attack. You see, the real issue here is that what a lot of people fail to realize is that Kaguya was insanely overpowered. The issue is that she ended up having two sons who siphoned her power away, making her significantly weaker than she was before. This is confirmed in canon, which is why she decided to take that power back when they decided to work against her. So Ishiki was likely aware of that power along with the power she gained from the chakra fruit, so he avoided battle and decided to stay hidden instead. This makes perfect sense since while Ishiki himself is likely far stronger than Kaguya, Jigen wasn't. In fact, it's directly stated that Ishiki's true power far surpassed the likes of Jigen, which is likely due to the fact that Jigen is just a vessel in addition to being defective. Though it is possible that Jigen was still stronger than Kaguya, but he just didn't know it because he wasn't aware of the fact that her power got siphoned away by her children. That option is less likely, but it's still a possibility. Another thing to take into consideration is that Jigen likely got stronger over time due to him constantly consuming the power of the 10 tails for the better part of a millennia. So the Jigen that existed in Kaguya's era was just drastically weaker than the Jigen who fought Naruto and Sasuke. So it doesn't really change the power structure if you believe that current day Jigen is far stronger than Kaguya. Now in regards to Hagoromo, it isn't really that convoluted. The truth is that Jigen probably had no reason to attack Hagoromo since it's possible that he can't be used as a vessel. You have to remember that Kaguya's sons are half Otsutsuki, so the probability of the Karma Seal preventing an Otsutsuki from being overwritten by another is actually pretty high. Though it is weird that Boruto's body did accept Momoshiki's karma even though he's partially Otsutsuki due to being a direct descendant of Hagoromo and Hamura by blood. Then again, you can explain it away by saying that the Otsutsuki gene isn't that prominent within Boruto for it to matter. Now there is another argument which would be that Jigen could have fed Hagoromo to the 10 tails and let it marinate while he searched for a new vessel, which I do understand. Though the issue is that Momoshiki did say that Kawaki would have yielded a smaller fruit since he wasn't 100% Otsutsuki. He was just 82% Otsutsukified at that time, and Hagoromo is just 50% Otsutsuki, which means that the fruit would have been even smaller. Jigen probably wanted a full-size fruit and was willing to wait until he found a new vessel and just feed his own 100% Otsutsuki body to it instead. Mind you, that was Jigen's plan until he found out that Boruto had Momoshiki's Karma Seal. So in a sense, Jigen really had no reason to confront Hagoromo since he's of no use to him. With that being said, there is another argument you could use as to why Jigen didn't attack Kaguya, which is that he just didn't need to at that time. Even though Kaguya would have been a great fertilizer for his Ten-Tails and he was probably pissed when he learned that she was sealed away, he likely didn't want to focus on the Divine Tree as yet since he didn't have a proper vessel. Remember that Jigen's body couldn't handle Ishiki's power, so what use would he have for a chakra fruit when the body already can't contain his own power? Then again, why didn't Ishiki leave Jigen's brain and eat the fruit himself? He probably would have gotten insane regeneration powers like Kaguya, which would have allowed him to regain the lower half of his body along with an insane boost in power. So that's why I think him fearing Kaguya makes more sense, though this would be a solid option as well. So in a sense, Jigen at that time was just weaker than Kaguya, and Jigen at that time is weaker than current day Jigen as well, since that Jigen didn't live off 1,000 years of Ten-Tails power, thus amping his own power to different levels. It's the only way it makes sense, unless you believe that he just stayed there because he just didn't feel like doing anything, you know. Maybe he was like experiencing like depression or whatever, I don't know. Like, make it up in the comment section. Let me know what you think about this theory. Do you think this makes sense, or do you have something else? Do you have something else that makes more sense than what I said in this video? Although I did upload a video a few months ago explaining that I think Jigen did use the time travel turtle. That one is a bit more out there. It's more on the theory side because there really isn't anything that says he used it. So this video is more so taking into consideration what is directly stated and what we know for a fact in regards to the history. So it's not really like that out there of a theory, even though it's still a theory video because, you know, this isn't confirmed in any way. So let me know your thoughts on it. Drop a like if you like the video and subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.